Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elisar Valgueros, and welcome back to more Satisfactory. So, in the last episode, we got most of our resource gathering and processing completed. We even got our copper powder setup going. Mr. Moth, of course, flying right through the center of my factory. I gotta get rid of you somehow. But we did it. We have all of the iron, copper, and deuterium set up, ready to be used. And, of course, did all of the beautiful pipe work going from the little waterfall section over here. And very, very cleanly, well, except for that little spot right there, up into the factory. So what is today's objective? Well, we were taking a look at our testing world and the roadmap into success, pretty much, into this project. And I've come to the realization that we are going to desperately need some rubber. There's going to be a lot of rubber in some of the recipes that we are going to be using here in this factory. So I figured we go ahead and, before we start getting into the hullabaloo that is going to be the production facility of the nuclear pasta factory, we divert our attention to what is going to be a temporary... Well, I can't really say it temporary. It's going to be a rubber and plastic plant that is relatively close by, right over here on this little archipelago that you can see I've already started setting up a little bit of infrastructure for. Just getting some platforms down, general idea of, where we are going to be setting up shop, and most importantly, getting all of the oil piped to one central location. So, this spot was actually going to be a contender for our fuel power plant. But we decided to do that into the Blue Crater Lake instead. And now, all the oil that's over here, we're going to turn into a rubber and plastic plant that is going to supply both our nuclear pasta plant and what is eventually going to become our nuclear power plant, which is going to be set up in this biome right up here. So, we have about 2,700 oil per minute, each of these being, of course, 600, 6, 12, 18, 24, plus a 300 belt, which is 27. 2,700 oil coming into this factory. So all I pretty much have to do is just set up a nice power line coming into here, set up a quick little, a power station where we can route all the wires and such, and then we will get into how we are going to be doing all of our rubber and plastic, which is going to be using a little trick with refineries by converting all of the oil that we have into heavy oil residue. And you guys are going to be familiar with some of this process here, because we're going to be taking the heavy oil residue and turning it into fuel. How does that work out? Well, interestingly enough, you would take the heavy oil residue, throw it into the blender, and make diluted fuel, using some of the heavy oil residue, water, and making fuel. You would then take the fuel, put it back into a refinery, and use these two recipes right here: recycled rubber and recycled plastic. So how this system would work is the fuel would go into this system here. Let's just say to make rubber, right? So the fuel go in, we supply it just a little bit of plastic, and we get 60 rubber. Well, with that, you would therefore take another refinery. Well, in this case, technically 2 refineries. Split the rubber going into some plastic instead. And then the same thing over here. So 60 rubber, split that into 30 rubber here, 30 rubber here, and out of it, you get 120 plastic. Well, if you remember back over here, you need to take 30 of that plastic. So in reality, you're trading 30 plastic and making 90. Essentially tripling your output. Granted, yeah, it's a little tedious to do with the blenders, the diluted fuel, but this is what I was talking about a couple videos ago with the idea of using alternate recipes and making factories super duper efficient. The only thing about this style of item production is that you have to be very, very careful with your management of fuel. Because if you run out of fuel, you can't make more you can't make more product. Let's just take it one step at a time, though. Let's set up all of the machines in order to deal with, you know, some of these pipes first, and then we'll worry more about setting up all of the actual, like, production of items, you know? So, of course, we're going to set up our usual walkway here, and then I actually should definitely get another blueprint going with just one input of liquids, because this, while yes, it would be good to use, we don't necessarily need the item inputs yet. So I'm going to spend some time doing that, and then we'll get the heavy oil residue started. And I'll probably also set up the diluted fuel. Okie dokie. So, the basic is done. All of these little refineries over here are making me some heavy oil residue. This is using all of the oil that we could possibly making. And for now, I am pretty much just sinking the polymer resin, having all of the residue come over here underneath, and of course into our little system over here, making a lot of diluted fuel. Yeah. So each of these little sections is a full pipe. So in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 6,000 fuel that we can make, which is a lot. Which indeed is a lot of fuel. What I'm thinking of doing is having everything just come up through the floor and work its way into our new little system here. I also have no idea how I want to design this little factory. But I know for a fact that I'm kind of thinking about having everything just in one building. I don't know, it's a little weird because I kind of like having the pipes go across the front like that. And then I'm also thinking of just taking everything and, you know, just going over this opening. You know, I don't know. But now we just have to prepare the second floor to be where all of the rubber and plastic are being made. Okay, so we have a lot of fuel incoming. And it starts right about here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is our 6,000 fuel. Right there. And I'm thinking about this here, and I'm trying to figure out how and where I am going to put the pipes and stuff. So, give me a minute while I design this. Okay, so pretty much what we're going for is something similar to this. So we have, I have one fuel line being put into the input, and then another fuel line going into the output. I have these overclocked just so I can use a little bit more fuel. So 10 on this side, 10 on this side, just to make it even. It'll look nice and pretty. Nice and pretty. And then all of the goodies is going to flow out this way. And then the primary source is going to feed back into the system, basically creating an infinite loop. So, if we go into here, and we create 60 stack, shove that in there. That's gonna make plastic. It's each gonna split up into both sides, feed back into the system. Basically, feeding itself. And that's how you make rubber and plastic. It's that easy. Everything just keeps getting fed back and forth up until this starts overflowing. Because then what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw an awesome sink down. Gonna hook this guy up. Then I'm gonna sit here and monitor this for a couple minutes. And then have that work on a calibration for me. Because we have to feed in 60 rubber per minute here. And if we're making 240 minus 60 should be about 180. Yeah, should be about 180-ish rubber per minute. And then, yeah, we're just going to do that a few times. Then we're going to probably set up a nice little train system right here, so that way I can get that all the way over to there. You can see all of our liquid pipes. Oh my god. And that will be rubber and plastic taken care of. Because the blueprints, literally, all you got to do is just reverse the system. And then hook up the fuel. That's all it is. Okay, so with the other two modules built, we have approximately 540 rubber per minute coming in, which is good. And I think that is gonna be a pretty decent amount of rubber doing its thing. Because I think we only need like 300-ish, counting throughput. Yeah, that'll be good. So I'm trying to figure out, though, like, how I want to get the rubber over there. Because there's a waterfall in the way. There's a big waterfall right here. I could train it through here, and then squeeze through here. Maybe. I don't know. Put our jetpack on and go see what we're looking at over here. Because we can very easily build a couple of train stations there. Have them go down to, like, I wouldn't necessarily say completely level with the ground, but let's see here. I do have, like, that iron node right there. Let's see here. Hello, Mercer Sphere. Gimme. Gimme. Thank you. Now, is there a tiny little, like, natural ramp? Or something? Yeah, I can come up through here, swing around on the top of this, and then I should be able to just go ahead and build a tiny little train station right about here. Right? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. We're gonna do that. We're gonna use trains. Alright, we got our train set up. It's already set on a nice little time schedule to go from pasta rubber in to pasta rubber out. And we're gonna take a ride on the train. Because I need to set up a unloading bay. Because I totally forgot to set the other station to unload. Whoops. We got the nice little ramp underneath everything. A little bit of temporary infrastructure. I am gonna have to redo this whole thing because I do want to get like belts or something underneath the track to move the rest of all of the materials that are just up on this hill. And I don't want any more of the clipping like you saw right there in the sand. But I will take care of all of that when we are no longer building temporary structures. Nice little stroll through the countryside. And then here we are. Yeah. Alright, so the car is not going to unload just yet because I am stupid. Let's do that, and then unload. There we go. And that is everything. So, what we're gonna do, set up a temporary little setup right here. Of course, we're gonna get a throughput reader right there. Power that. And that's pretty much it. We now have rubber. We now have rubber ready to go for the factory. Now, there only lies one more challenge. One more challenge before we can officially start producing the nuclear pasta. That is going to be aluminium. That is going to be an entirely new project that we're probably going to start in the next episode here. Because all of the aluminium that we are planning on using is in this giant biome right here. We got to collect everything from that cliff over there and then move it all the way to this little spot right here. This is where I'm planning on having the aluminium plant. There's plenty of water here. There's some copper nodes around here. All of which we are going to need. So, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Let me know if you guys want to see some more Satisfactory. Subscribe, and follow me on all my other socials as well. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.